Setting specifications and line conditional levels. 9 equals 6, 6 equals line position location levels at high setting. It's all about position of measure, correlation system of balance line setting. It's all about position location directions, how to set locations in U. The high center interference position locations opens all channels. The operation streamline interference puts position location in graph lines. It's a position location is how you use your navigation sites, your signals, and rotation spin cycles. The spin cycle line interference sets position location directions. This opens all levels at U and channel operation line setting. Today in class and set locations, it's going to open your throat patterns and set locations, setting truth and surface in all lines and all division location of U in space of time of pi, putting you in position locations of where you're supposed to be in all levels of correlation. The line communications to its hemisync is all levels of travel lines. The systematic line position location is levels at set locations to the 0-12 line setting. This opens all position of channel operator stream lines, guys. The stream sets and line position location direction sets all communication and program location settings. This redirect programs and sets you into levels of an energy wash, rainbow wash line setting, water containment line condition, position and direction settings, okay? The operation surface in all levels and how to set your positions to its direction. So when you go through channel operation streamlines, okay, we go through line setting. So we have 9 in line rotation in position. Okay, so setting position location direction settings. Setting correlation set locations, all levels of high setting. Let's change correlation sets. 9 sets, high center interference, in direct locations, in position location directions. All right. Setting position lines, all of those high lines, high position locations. Travel communication sets in high direction. Okay, so there's 9, right? 9 equals 6 lines, 6 in high center interference, a bracket location of 3 0-line positions in high setting position. Now, 3 line center line position of 6, line position of 7, and position of 8, 8 line communication. Now, 8 line center overrides position locations into high setting. All levels of range or wash position line directions. Setting correlation set lines and graph lines of 1, 2, 3. 3 sets and graph lines. Now, the rotation spin cycle sets line position of 0 line in set locations, and set lines of another 0 line position in a 0 graph locations, and another 0 line position in another 0 graph locations. So we bracket the center location of 3, 3, 3. It sets line division. So 0, 3, 0, 3, 0, 3. Setting correlation settings in high center locations. Box position location of 9. It set lines of vector over pi. We set up a line condition of 6. Bracket location is setting high system location of channel streamlines. This opens all position locations of levels. Now the archive line centers and dense filter communication system releases position location of directions into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets lines of communications, right? Throat patterns comes into high levels of channel operation streamlines in rotation. Energy wash, water containment system line interference, setting communication positional program locations. Now this channels its stream sets. Now we have the 0 line position over track setting. We have another 0 line position location, another track setting, and set locations of 4 line setting. So that's 4 line position location divisions over pi. Resetting position locations into water containment to its echo chamber set lines in direct locations. Open up another dimensional of the Fibonacci swirl set in high setting location position and directions. That opens the channel line to 1 streamline in position locations into its throttle. The throttle calculations comes into a position locations, which is a downshift line of a pyramid set line of communication. Rotation cycles and high center line interference into another triangle line, sending an up force line position of directions, sending correlation set lines into 2 graph line positions of panels. It sets its line communication system in rotation cycles, sets high generation streamlines into set locations of 4 line settings, 0 in gravity, 0 in rotations, 0 in surface, and 0 in high setting. 4 line position location, direct line setting, interference position locations. Open all channel operators single line center location of 3, 3, 3 into position locations. 9 equals 6 lines and 3 zeros and set lines and communications. Equal line conditions of vector over line center, vector over line position over pi. Reposition line direct location and the 0 line setting, 8 line rotation, infinity cycles, high center location, throw pattern. Reset position location into truth set location of surface and all set locations in direct line setting. Open all channel operator streamlines in rotation system in position location of direction. Out through signal, out through channel, out through operation line settings. Now it's all in position location directions. But it's amazing how it structures its hologram line center locations, high center, in line rotation, position location series throw patterns into one line signal, into 6 rotations, into its water containment of its energy wash, and high line center of its rainbow wash in communication system to archives and filter lines in its position of its folder and rotation location in a graph line stream and high set line position locations in direct line settings. All right, setting and location system done through a equation. All right, so as that is setting line conditions, that gets about 15-20 minute track settings. So we got 15 line settings, set line position locations times line 1 and times lines 2. Vector over line setting. Now we come in as vector line stream into vector location position directions. Now this is a Z-line graph line in 3 lines zetter, position location to UFO line setting, setting rotations into spin cycle and set locations to the throw patterns, setting communications position location directions into all levels of a nano of a second setting. That sets line position of 16 times line position locations into one track setting, one equal line conditions of 0, setting communications into 3 and set locations equal line conditions into 3, 6, 9 set line communication setting. That opens all track line conditions into 1 in position of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line position location of throw pattern. Setting rotation spin cycles in a Z-line setting into graph locations in another Z-line setting rotation interference. Setting position locations 15 over triangle, 15 over pi, 15 over box, 15 over set locations in high setting. That puts position locations into line position locations. So it comes into 15 line settings and position locations plus 2 line centers in square position location over pi, setting line position location and security position location of 2, 7, 4, 8, setting line position locations into infinity cycle and set line communication. Done through equation. All right, so that's in set signals and set locations. But it's amazing how it sets lines and high center interference in direct locations all through your throw patterns. So 8 line center comes in position location to 1 line setting into set location into 17 set lines into set locations, coming in theta line interference, which is tomorrow's set locations. But we got line locations at the negative and a positive in 16 line settings in set locations. All right. So you guys are in new ground setting in a throw pattern communication cycle and high center generation stream set. Ooh-ah. Done through equation. All right, so knowing exactly how the throat is set up is really understand how to use the process calculation streamlines. It's very complicated because it has a throttle, and that throttle is oh. So it's a sound barrier line setting, high center interference. Now it's becoming location of truth set location. Truth equals surface. I come to the surface line setting that sets the position location levels. Now this puts line position location at 16 line position locations into measure, setting correlation system into 0 line connection of high setting. That sets position location all level system into flux capacitor communication of channel. It opens all position locations into high communication into its console and set locations. This opens all channel position locations into high center line position locations into a new ground setting. Rotation spin cycles and high center location at graph lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 line setting the set location into triangle set line position location directions. Opens all channel operators streamlines and higher rotation interference. Set position location of direct line setting and all levels of high position location of travels in set location of Fibonacci. Fibonacci sequence location to 3 line settings and another 3 line settings. Line length line interference line position of triangle line set location position location directions. Done by equation. All right, so we're now in the truth line set location throw pattern. So setting position location and direct locations, treatise 10, and how to understand the rotation spin cycle. So as we correlate position locations of Nova and position of Joan, the set line communication comes into 2 waterfalls and communication crossing signals. High interference line position location all levels to a new position location of directions to high setting. High setting rotation spin cycles and high generation streamlines of energy wash line rotations comes into energy graph line rotations of sonar line position location, echo chambers, and high streamline position location and directions, done by equation. All right, the recognition of timeline locks its sequence location of patterns, this position location of its direction and setting. So this opens all channels of U in operation location of channel settings. This puts you in a higher position location and directions. This puts you in a higher line communication setting in all levels of high center interference. This position location is all levels of U. So 9 equals line position of 6 line position locations over pi in set line communications. Pi sets line position locations into 6 in set locations into a box line setting, equal line conditions to the trifactor in set line communications of pi setting in position location of directions. Now, as the 9 comes into line position locations, we do a half pipe circle in set location of 6 lines in set location of moon. Moon comes into a throat pattern. Setting line position location at a true setting in line conditions to its surface opens all position location operation cycle in set locations, done by equation. Setting communication streamlines is all about understanding how to set up water containment settings of echo chamber set locations. Now, when you come in line interference, you come in alpha line setting in location equal line condition of delta. Delta sets line communications at 2 tube set lines in high center interference. Throttle communication opens up a dimensional line stream in energy wash line rotations and a surface line communication setting. That surface line crisscrosses its position location and directions to position location at all levels of high setting. This opens all position locations higher line interference, comes into the atom line rotation, atom circles in set location and triangulation set line position locations, inline center rotations into another circle line rotation interference and position location directions, done by equation. Now, coming into the surface is trying to send all levels of U through true set location. Now, the true set's free line setting. This comes into line location of sovereignty, center communication line setting, rotation interference, equation of operation cycles in high center, operation surface, low U location, high center, and low operation cycle in set location into 16 channels, line positions, equal line minute, high center interference, sets position location into 16 million seconds per channel. Okay, million line setting, high interference and position location. Crisscrosses line center VAS into volume, into velocity, in position location of operation setting, in line communication of flux capacitor, into box equals triangle, and set location, high setting, position location direction, done by equation. Okay, surfacing set lines in communication of water line settings. Open all position location of track settings. Now, open line interference, back in the 9 settings, into energy wash interference, rainbow wash communications, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 lines of channels. So you got 1 line and 2 line and 3 line, position of 4, position of 5, position of 6. Now that's a graph line, rotation set line in direct locations. 1 position in 2, 2 position of 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 locations, all levels. Setting line position locations into 1 line setting, 1 equals line position of 0, 0 line 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 line positions into negative over positive. We come into position locations into theta tomorrow. Sets line position locations over 6 line center line interference equals 7 line position location all levels. Puts position locations into 8 line setting line direct location and position location of time of space and space of time. Position line direct locations over factors over pi into 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 sets line position location directions. 4 times 4 is position line setting to all level calculation streamlines. 4 position lines as streamlines and 4 position locations allocate position location high lines opens on a higher trap in the interference location of new measured communication of cyclone high setting in direct locations, done by equation. So setting communication line system puts position location directions. Now that's 4 channels are streamlines, 4 times line position location of 4, equal line conditions of 6 lines locations into line center interference. 6 position location equals 1 position line directions. Inline interference of 0, 0 at high center locations into square roots and position locations into pi calculation stream. Setting position location at levels, high center interference of box location into trifactor, 4 line center into pyramid, 4 line center into pyramid, setting communication high system in position location of 1 into 16 in set locations, done by equation. Setting communication line settings in all position of rotation cycles sets line communications all levels of freedom. Freedom comes in line setting and high line rotation interference, sets position location all levels, opens all position location of directions. Now the freedom line center aligns its location of its formation line conditions of its relay position of its remember. The energy light center line conditions of its energy cycles comes into a line position of its dimensional line setting into levels of operation location of its high center location of its line setting. High center location 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 communication line settings comes in position location and triangulation lines. Comes into energy graph, line position location, all levels of high setting. Schumann resonance and line position location is the line center location of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 line positions, 8 position locations in space, 8 position locations on levels of time, sending correlation system, box and position locations, line communication setting, in flux capacitor in set locations, space timeline setting, and highline rotation interference over pi. Calculation streamline set location and division done by equation. Setting communication settings and all levels of operation line connection is putting everything in the set location. So we come in a zero line position. 2 line zeros line position location all levels. Okay, so we got 2, set location of equal line centers. So that's 12 plus 12 plus 12. Set locations of 36 line fields and set location of 16 set lines, equal line conditions of 1 cycle in set locations. Setting communication line centers have N communications to a half pipe of 6 equal locations in the moon setting. High line position location of the sun. Sun comes into light track line conditions in position location of triangulation. Sets a line position location into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 circles of rotation done by equation. All right, rotation, spin, cycles, and high generation streamlines. High position location direct line settings, all position location high interference. Setting communication line systems into zero line position of 1, set locations, equal line conditions of 0 to 1, equal line position of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 line positions under umbrella, set line position location, equal line conditions of high, set locations, high setting. High position locations into 1 line setting, into videograph line position location, all levels, and high center generation light stream, into 1 line setting, into 3 line positions, into 4 track locations, into 6 line settings. Send position locations down by equation. Rotation, spin, cycles, and high center interference. Position location opens all position location and directions. Adding 9 line setting, 9 equals 6 in line position, 6 equals 9 position location and calculations. Now 9 line center rotates its 9 line center, location of 6, 6 position location of 9, 9 position of a triangle, setting of 3, 6, and 9 line center locations into 12 line setting, 12 into 3, 3 into 12 line setting and rotation cycles, 9 into 6, and 6 in position location to 8 line setting and rotation to circle and rotation setting done by equation. Setting communication, all levels of throw pattern communication line settings, all levels of track location is your echo chamber settings. This opens all communication setting and rotation surface. This high, its position location, all levels of high center interference in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 line setting, 6 positions, 6 activations, 6 rotations, 6 line settings, and 6 dimension line setting. Rotation interference, a graph line position location attraction. And done by equation. Setting and communication setting line and rotations or throw pattern communication lines opens up energy tracks and box line settings and 4 position locations, all levels of high center interference and set locations. Box line position location into set locations into line centers of Y line setting. High interference, high position locations, and high communication of solar graph line setting. This opens all position locations into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 location settings. That opens all position locations in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and set locations, sending communications into circle line rotation and dimensional realm line connections. Set by division, done by equation. Okay, now once we get into the box line, setting line and rotation position location equals triangle, set lines locations to triangle, let's set line position location equal line position locations into 1. 1 sets down position of 1, equal line conditions of 0. 0 line position location is 0 line position, 0, 0. 3 line center is up top position location and calculations. Setting rotations, circle interference, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16 position locations into 16 million channels of operation setting in calculation of communication, done by equation. Rotation line settings and all levels of high interference location comes into all setting locations. 0 gravity line center into flux powers communication of 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 line setting and high interference, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 4, 5, 6, setting communication line settings. So that's 4 line settings, that sets position location of 6, and equal line conditions of 4, equal line conditions of 10, line center, line position of 11, 11 line position location of 12, 12 line position location to 13, 13 line position equals 14, and 14 line conditions of 15, 15 line communication of 16, 16 rotation spin cycles, and high generation light centers, energy watch communications, throw patterns of truth line serum, and set location to high center interference, and high track locations, indirect locations, into body high center interference in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, done by equation. Ooh, that's it. It's all done. Woo! Everybody having fun? All right. So everything is set at location of throw pattern line setting. All right, it's all set up. All done by an equation. Hooah. So the center communication settings, all levels of how you set locations into measure. Measure calculus streamlines and high interference line direct locations put you in a higher calculation setting. So this opens all business location directions. So again, we always start off one line setting, okay, which is one line equals line position of 0, 0, 0. And that's three line position locations, equal line conditions of 3. Okay, set line position locations of all levels, equal line conditions of 3, set line communication. Now, once you get in that, you bracket this line center, it comes its hanger calculation streamlines. Now we start with the hanger line conditions of levels of 6, right? 6 equals 9 line setting in set locations, right? 9 sets its energy wash and high line centers of 4, 5, 6. Bracket locations into 1, 2, 3 set locations. So setting communication 9 equals 3 line settings. That opens all position location directions. So it recenters its position locations all levels into its UFO line center rotations into 2 track line centers into set locations. So that's 2 over pi in set line conditions, 2 over triangle, and 2 operation to its circle in rotation setting in surface location. Done by equation. Ooh, ah. All right. All right, so how's everybody doing so far? All right, so locations. Okay, here, let's see. Madeline, Tina set 9 division locations. I have to do this very fast because there's a lot to do, right? I can't slow down. So let's see. We got communications all levels of commander, Gypsy, Cami, Wilson, how you doing? Heather, locations, Bender, Leah, Joanne, Nikki, Danielle, Val, Trinity, Chris, Gypsy, Max, Holy Trinity, yes. All right, so it's all set locations done through equation settings. It's just to understand how to set lines of communication. So you got an open line signal and high interference location of 16 line settings. So that opens up your throw pattern location of activation now. All right. All right, setting line settings and high interference, high direct location, position location, and high setting. All right, let's see. All right, so there's a lot going on right now with you guys. All right, setting communication line setting. Tomorrow we go into theta. It's all recognition location alpha, delta, theta, beta, and omega communication of gamma line settings, guys. It's pretty simple to understand location settings. Oh, what is doing? Guardian, Johnny, set lines. Sarah, how you doing? Queen and Seraphon, how you doing? All right. So it opens all more line center rotations, this location, your throat settings. So your ears are going to pop. All right. Coming to the atmosphere line streams, setting lines of communications, all levels of high setting. Chris. All right. Adding sequence, adding patterns, adding correlation system, business location directions of numbers, right? So getting in communication is to understand how to really recognize the clarity and focus location of command and line settings when you come into your throw pattern. It's really understand how to use the locations all levels of formulas of its equation. Okay. So it's really interesting when you come into this point of view, right? To really recognize what's going on with you in sideline conditions. Oh, yeah? Sacred Dragons? Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. That's good. You're becoming more aware now, JP. All right, great. So as we come into coordinates, we hide position, location, and higher line settings because you guys are now on 16 channels lines, equal line conditions of all levels of 3, 3, bracket locations, equal line conditions of the set locations into 3, 3, 3. So we got 3 line settings, 3 rotation surface. Now, equal line condition is position location in the line center of 0.3 setting locations, right? 0.3. So that brings the 3 line setting forward in correlation setting. Okay, brings it forward in correlation setting. As it goes in line center, it comes into a flux capacitor communication of channel. That opens all position location of its console and 2 line panels and set locations into all levels of Y line setting, upside down line positions into measure signal line position. All right, once it's in a single line, it comes into position of the point dot setting. One point center location, one here and one here. It's set location, right? Now the operation signal sets line is the location of its triangle that's in set line of communication, right? This rotates its spin cycle and high generation line centers into two half-byte communication of 6 equals 6 in line conditions. That rotates its spin cycles and opens whole levels of a higher line setting in a rotation cycle in a high communication. Now, that rotates its 6 lines in position of 6 line communication into a flux capacitor of a new ground setting rotation spin. Okay, that rotates its position of box its position line setting to take the 6th line, another 6th line. So that's 6 over 6 over pi. Okay, 6 over 6 over pi. Okay, so when you go in overline setting, you're crossing streamlines 6 over 6 over pi. Okay, setting correlation done by equation. Hoo-ah. So once you get in that line communication, you come into 16 channel stream sets. Now the 16 streams is really understanding how to get into relation line setting. Now the rotation spin cycle sets line communications, right? So you have your solar generation line settings, 4 times 4. We got in that line center interference. Now you put an X line and set location umbrella to a T setting. Okay. Now that T setting becomes a teleportation wave, equal line conditions of teleportation setting. Now that's a T-force line setting. It rotates its system location at the ground setting, rotation surface and circle locations. Now that sets position locations of its dome and set lines in 6 locations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's the dome, setting correlation system of its set locations, walking surface into 9 line setting into its rainbow wash in 6 locations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, that rotates its line center into 3 graph line settings in rotation setting. That rotates its spin cycle. Now the correlation system sets 0, 0, 0, 0, 4, 5, 6. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? All levels of 0 line settings and rotations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and set locations. All right. So you got 16 channels, 4 over pi, 4 over sector, 4 over line positions, into bracket line centers, a trifactor line position location directions. Tri-line sector lines a vector over pi. Position line directions to center correlation system. Okay. Setting correlation line setting, it sets position location of its high system, right? So once you get into 4 channel operation line setting, this is the solar stream set location and its division. This opens up the 15 channels of operation streamlines in your correlation system of your heart reactor, time sector, time lines, times pi. Streamlines and communication comes into all levels of timeline stream sets that puts you in a higher levels of precision and perception and location to its precision. The line rotation interference sets high levels of communications into Fibonacci. The Fibonacci line position locations is 3 over line centers over pi, 3 over sectors over pi, sectors communications over pi, line communication, high center line interference, space-time communications over pi, 16 line channels, high line position locations over pi, trifactor communication line settings, high line interference over pi, Pricing, calculation streams, and set lines in high division location is a correlation setting. Okay. 8, 9, and 9 in position of 10 into 11 into 12, right? 4 lines signals. Okay. So in set location is all always a 5. 5 position location is 5, 5, 5, 5. Setting correlates line setting in position location in 6, 6. Equal line conditions of 1 into 6, 0 is a correlation. Setting position of time sector is all levels in how you set line position location near throw patterns of 16 channels of operational locations into truth line surface and set line setting. Congratulations. Done by equation. And that's how it's done. All right. So how's that for correlation setting location of throw patterns of 16 channel operator streamlines in million seconds per line per channel per operator per square per mile? try to fathom that all that information line stream. I mean, it's so complicated how you get connected to these things through the energy line track location of its provision, the relays and the programs, and the remembering line stream sets line location. It measures the correlation system when it comes into the ground lines of its heart reactor times 3 key locations of pi. Position line direct locations when it center lines its calculation streamlines in rotation interference into your position locations of your water containment line setting into its eco chamber of correlation setting into your filter line setting and high line rotations and your throttle calculation over pi. Ooh-wah. All right. So when you get in that setting, you come in an X line setting. Now the X sets line position locations into all 4 sets. Okay, X equal line center locations into a half pipe of 6 lines and set location of 6. Now this is a Z line rotation into Zector. Now, and set locations come to levels. Zector is a very high force line setting into 6 position locations, equal line conditions of its measure and set locations. Now the measure line center horizons its memory equal location of 16 channels. That's equal line center locations in an operational line setting in a triangulation position location and position. Now that position location comes into its flux capacitor channel line center to another 6 line of a half pipe, setting line position locations into half measure, setting line in rotation in position locations to its half of pi, half line signals and high center line of rotations in directions to its set signals of pi of calculation. Ooh-wah. Done by equation. So knowing exactly how to do these things is really recognizing your correlation setting and how it sets all levels in U and side position. Really understand how your throat is set up in all levels of code frequencies. The code diameter line center location is its position location, how you factor these things over pi, guys. You just have to learn how to use the 9 line signals. 9 position locations, all levels, its position line settings, right? This is what you have to really understand when you come into that position locations, right? It's not just the multitude level settings. It's all about understanding how to use it through measure, through scales, through balance, over space, through time of pi. Vectors over pi, trifactors over pi, calculators over pi. Position line directions underscore line centers or underscore high center interference, position location and directions of pi. So the retracting setting is all levels and how you get in position of scaling your settings. Really understand how to measure this through its position of correlation. Yes. Soaring over the team, slow and the Thunderbird, let's have a sonic boom of peace, receiving water flow, infusion, music, vibration codes. Well, there you go. See? Coming in line setting and high line interference of electrical line in rotation, position location, high center position location directions is giving you exactly what you want through your set location. Truth shall set you free. And now it's in the set locations. 17 line setting gets you into your theta setting. This opens up videograph line setting and rotation interference in your set locations of your astral travels, astral connections, and your astral projection locations, and how you see things through projection. Okay? Setting signals into that direct line setting opens all visual locations and how you see yourself in provision. All right? So you got a 0 line setting in set locations, right? 0, 0 on set locations. Start with that. Equal line connections of a triangle set locations, right? Now the triangle line center and line position location is square into root over positions over pi. Now pi sets line position location into 3 set locations into 3 set line settings at 3, 6, and 9 setting locations. Now the 9 line center sets position of its energy wash. So I'm showing you easy way to understand how to do this in 3 set locations into 6 line position locations to 3 over line setting and position of directions. Okay? Setting correlation line setting high interference. Okay? Now, the simplest way to bracket line stream set is understanding the 2 lines, the 2 equal line conditions of 2, equal line conditions of 2. So that's 6 line setting in set location to its umbrella at top locations. You bracket the 2 line setting in set location of box. box 2, box 2, box 2, and 3 set locations, right? That comes into 6 channels in set locations into airline setting. There's the six set locations here, and set location here, and set locations here, and set locations here, and here. There it is. Complete cycle and set line division. Tomorrow we come into the 7 lines. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Ooh-ah. So getting in that position line direct location is truly understand how to set up the formulas of equation settings. It's really understand position location and directions. 3 over channel, 6 over line over pi position line direction. It's recognizing your position of directions of what you're doing through your connections, right? Your voicing grid setting is set up location of clarity and focus now. High position location of its track setting is opening up higher levels of view through position location and directions over pi. Okay. So extremely powerful, isn't it, when you actually know what's going on with your throat? All right, so where we are through division here. Okay. Dividing the water containment, music code, swimming pool. Oh, the confirmation comes in T. We truly see what was project balance will be so much easier. Rotation cycles, high center interference. So when you see waterfall, you understand the communication line center is you in the waterfall setting. It's all levels of code line setting. It's all position location of view through directions. So when you're seeing things through when you're seeing things through all levels of projection, you're seeing it through perception. The perception line is settings and opens up position location to high setting. But the position location is all breaking these things down into box location. All right, into trifactor line setting. Okay, factor over pi. Now, 6 line communication equal line connections to its moon setting. But you have the 6 line, which is half pipe, right? Remember, you come into that line of rotation interference in direct locations, right? Now, once you understand the 6 line is sets location into position. Now, this comes in line center location to its pyramid setting in 4 triangle locations. Now, once you understand that, then you understand the position location, all levels of an open position of its ground setting rotation. Okay. So these are the things that you can do now with your throat. Your throat is an angular point. An angular point sets line position. It's a 2 line setting. So you got 2 panels and operation set locations, and the circle line center rotations into 2 panels in the center locations. Now the line position have its flux capacitor and set location to center lines, and you got wires on both side line position location to high setting. Okay, so this is position locational levels, and then you got your shoulder blades and set locations, right? So boxes line center location position location into all levels of the center calculation. That opens all position location of travels into 12 line signals and high center interference. That opens all position locations at all levels when it comes into ground line rotation into circle locations. This opens all channel line connections, so you come into higher levels of correlation system into your voicing grid line setting in its magnetic highway of its emission system. Now that line center interference sets 9 position locations into all levels of high force line position locations into an energy wash of 6 line communication of channels. That channel rotates its cycle line interference. It sets specification in the opposite cycle into 6 line specifications, whole level system location of graph line stream sets. Done by equation. So, all right, let's see. Zara, how you doing, Zara? So I'm just showing you how these things are done now, because your throat's in a different line stream now. It's in a high level position location of vibrational stream set. So it correlates its set lines, and you have to really recognize the 0 sets. The set location of 0, 0, 0, 4, 5, 6 bracket locations, equal line connections of 1. Right? So it comes 1 line setting. Okay, UFO comes in position location directions, scans position locations, all levels is setting. So it scans, 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 scans. So that's how it becomes a graph. Belinda, that's how it becomes a graph. So the UFO sets the laser line and reduction set lines and highest center line rotation interference of metric communication into back force line setting and rotation settings. This high position location into the opposite cycle, high center line rotation interference in position location all level setting. This rotates its spin cycles in high line and rotation position location, high level position location, and high level position line production location, opposite cycle locations. So once you understand how to set things up, you have to understand how to set line communication, line streams. So it's got wireline communication into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the communication line setting location, line stream, line setting locations of your throat. All set up locations in provision. Setting line communication streamlines sets up all levels of correlation setting in position of direct locations. When you come into Schumann resonance and levels in your vibrational graph of 6 locations into 1 line setting into 6 line communication of 16 channels of operation stream sets. All done through provision. Okay? All right. Holding, standing is so powerful, Val. Thank you for the teaching. Well, that's good. You get communication cycles and set lines and high interference, high direct location position on a high system. So I'm just showing you how this is done. All right. We understand what's happening with your throat now. So getting you in provisional locations, trying to understand how to change the code frequency, code active line settings, coming into code looping line setting locations, all right? So the wireline position locations comes into 3 channels operation, all right? So that's 3, 3, 3, heart, mind, and soul location, all right? It's very simple. So it's got line position location alpha, it's that location of delta, it's that locations into omega, ADO, bracket locations, center line, box locations, equal line conditions of trifactor. Okay, tri-equal line centers of factor over pi, set location and direction to its position in high setting. Now, this opens all levels of view and set location to set line setting. Hooah. So you got the alpha line setting in position of heart, mind, and soul. Now, the position of the alpha line setting comes into the heart line. The measured correlation system comes into the mind of its dimension of its delta line setting, into the systematic line condition of its high center interference, into its omega setting rotations. Now, the 3 channels operator streamline comes into its dimensional line condition, high center locations. This deposits its line stream location of its atom line. The atom rotates its cycle line, high center interference of high position location of travels, setting communication setting in position locations, all levels of wireline settings, rotation position location of directions into all cycles, a high center interference of 6 channels and high center rotation in direct locations to its channel operation streamlines into its alpha, into its delta, and into its omega setting. All in rotation. All through trifactor, through your throat and your patterns and your rotations of a coloration line stream in set locations of 9 equals 6 in communication. All right. Yeah. Woo, whoa, data. Yeah, the downloads are just, your throat patterns open now through activation streamlines. So we got one more equation to go to. Now this equation line setting sets everything through freedom sets. Now the set line, center line, and rotation interference sets position location in the brackets, sets position location of hangers. Okay, and set line interference in direct locations into higher communication, into electrical line settings and high interference in direct locations. All right, so we start with the bracket line settings. Okay, then we go into the position of hanger, set location. Then we come into higher levels of electrical line settings. This roads its system location of graph lines into set locations. So electrical, equal line conditions of road and set line conditions. Now this puts an impulse set location electrical line conditions. All right, it comes in impulse. Now the impulse set lines set locations into high interference. So the 0 line rotation sets higher communications. So let's say you got 6 line over 6 in position of 6 in position of 4. Setting line position of 4 equal line conditions into square roots in positions all levels into 2 line setting. Now it gets complicated because the 2 line setting comes in position locations all levels when it comes into all levels. So it's setting line position of laser at locations into its sets lines of communication into its impulse location. Okay. done by equation. Hoo-ah. So there's a lot of things that you have to recognize and how to use this in all levels of you as provision to really understand how to use your throat now. Clarity, focus, your command. Coming into all line communications of breathing, mechanism line settings of travel, mechanism line position locations, all levels of 40C set, location of lights, correlation systems of shades and shadows, and operation cycles and hygienics and streamlines, echo chamber lines, water containment system, position location direction settings, all levels of laser line position location in your throat pad. Done by equation. Okay, that's it. Taking out a streamline interference, bringing it back in our perceptual locations back in the throat. There you go. You guys are back in set locations. How was that? Fun, right? Now, yeah, close your portals. Make sure your line communications checking back. Make sure your portals are closed. If they're open, things are going to go through, right? Your connection to your throat line setting is now in a rotation spin. So it's a rotation set lines in communication. So you get a throat line setting rotations in a Fibonacci swirl line rotation like this in locations, right? The rotation throttle is setting line rotation in position location, your DNA set. In set location, opposite cycle, high interference locations. It opens all position locations into the chakra setting. Now your chakra setting is position location of graph lines. Okay, this is your crisscross location settings, right? Now, this is a road graph string lines in your throat location now. Now, understanding that line interference is understanding the zero line position location into 12 sets. All right, so you're 12, equal line conditions of 13, equal line conditions of 14, equal line conditions of 15, in position of 16, 17 line setting, and tomorrow location setting. All right, so very powerful when you come into these line streams, guys. All right, seeing the highway with you. All right, accelerating healing, Fibonacci. Yep. More balance, you are less chaos, you see. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. But this is where you're in position location directions on balancing setting. Everything that you go through correlation is frequency. The energy line center understands the videograph line center rotations. So you got a videograph line setting into Fibonacci sequence and set locations, 3 line channels. So if you understand what the 3 is, so this is an easy way line center, 3 line center locations, right? Operations, cyclone, high settings, high specification directions, right? So that's 3 over 3. Center communication line sits in another 3 line setting in rotations. So that's 3, 3, 3, setting into triangle set. Okay. Now, when you get in a triangle set, you set up another triangle and set in a line position location, another high setting. Now, when you get in that position location, you get a UFO line rotation. It travels down in set location set lines. So it sets position of its own laser direct location. It travels through its line position locations to its high setting. The recognition line setting is a rotation spin cycle. This is where it comes into its flywheel. The flywheel sets line position location to 3 measure, into 6 lines, into 9 line conditions. Now that sets line position location into your triangle set location. Now, once you get in that setting line interference, the set line interference, you set a position location all levels. Now, when you get in that rotation, you come into the circle ground setting. Now, when that gets set up, you come into the diamond core line setting. Okay? When you come in a diamond core line setting, the 3, 6, and 9 line interference line position location opens all position locations and 3 over 6 line position over 6 line center of 7 position location 8 equal line conditions of 9 set into the line center line position of operation of I9 of operation locations. Hoo-ah. And that's where you are through provision line settings into your chakra locations from 0 to 16 positions, a space and time of pi. Okay. All right. Just to show you where you guys are, set line settings. Tomorrow we get your theta setting open. So when you open that line rotation interference, it opens all position location directions and puts you in a high channels operating line conditions, right? How you see yourself through provision, all levels of activation stream sets. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. All levels of clarity and focus and clear and line center location comes into all levels of your voice and grid sets. But this is the provision location where you guys are setting now in set location. Okay? But you have to recognize what's going on, right? Try to understand the frame, try to understand the drawing, try to understand the structure, try to understand the throat, try to understand the position, try to understand the activation streamlines, try to understand the throttle. Okay? Try to understand the voice. Okay? What's happening with you? More levels of balance over space of time of pi. Okay? The central calculation line settings, once you get at provision locations into 22 sets, so that's 2 line centers of security in position of perimeters and parameters, right? We come into the polarity line centers of paradox positions. Now we come into that line communication. It gets a little bit more complicated, but a lot more fun because your central line settings. Then we put you in all position location to your avatar set lines into higher communication of compute system line settings of stream location operation. Okay, over time. So, yeah, it's amazing what we come into, right? Really understand the calculations to its balance lines, its streams, its interference, and position locations, how you see your Y vectors and set locations to your flux capacitor. This forms its high center interference and puts you in a full operation cyclone, high center position of perception over line connections over pi. Your position line directions, truly understand the recognition of line connections, your flight navigations, your line communications, your console line and rotations, how to use you through all calculations of travel settings. Setting division locations puts you in a higher line position locations. When you jump scar through channels of operation streamlines, I mean, it's really understand the clarity and the focus of the command. Controlling setting is all levels on how you measure these things in your mind setting. Your mind is coming into an expansion of an exploration to its position of a cloud. So if you understand that line communication system, you understand the operation of its network line setting, what you're creating. Okay? It's incredible when you come into the self-development line stream. Okay? It's manufacturing you all over again through energy, vibration, frequencies, and harmonics. It's putting the pieces and puzzles back to you into your hologram streamline in position location of holographic line connections into the simulation of a singular early location of its division. Okay? Very powerful of what's happening to that settings. Okay? All right, so I think that's good in set locations. Tomorrow, theta interference coming in line settings. All levels of high center interference. Adios.